right, so good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our August webinar. So today we're going to talk about how to e-file for divorce. I'm Linda Doggett, and I'm your Lee County Clerk and Comptroller. So this webinar is part of a series that we have for you entitled Your Gateway to the Courts, which promotes awareness of some very valuable resources available to you from our office. It would be great if you never needed to go to the court, but the reality is that many of us eventually do find ourselves here for one reason or another. So our goal is to provide you with useful information to help you navigate the complexities of representing yourself in the court system. One of our many useful services we have for you is our self-help center located on the first floor of the Justice Center in downtown Fort Myers. Our self-help center has public computers, printers, scanners. You can use our self-help center to access many legal resources, court forms, internet access, copies of documents, and a lot more. And we also partner with Legal Aid, where you can get free 20-minute legal consultations for a variety of civil and family legal matters. So when you need that one-on-one legal expertise, you can schedule a virtual appointment with Legal Aid by visiting our website at www.leeclerk.org/appointment. Appointment times are posted every Monday. Now I have the privilege of introducing you to our presenter, who is Yesenia Castro. Yesenia has been with the clerk's office for 15 years. She is our customer service manager for our courts department. Yesenia oversees the customer service operations for all court case types, civil, family, and criminal. And we also have Kevin Carnes and Alicia Gonzalez, who are joining us. Kevin is the clerk's chief operating officer, and Alicia is our deputy chief of courts. They are going to field your questions, and I do ask that you please submit your questions into the Q&A box, not the chat box, and we'll answer them individually. Finally, please remember the clerk's office is prohibited from giving legal advice. So now we're going to get started, and Yesenia, please take it away.
Thank you, Linda. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. It's my pleasure to present to you all today on how to e-file for a divorce. I would like to preface this presentation by mentioning that there are a variety of dissolution of marriage case types. For the purpose of this webinar, we will be discussing electronically filing an uncontested dissolution of marriage without children. This means that both parties are available and in agreement, and that there are no children from the marriage. However, there are a few other types of dissolution case types to include uncontested with children and contested with or without children. As it relates to uncontested dissolutions with children, you may use TurboCourt, to prepare your forms. However, you will need to print the forms to file in person with the clerk of the court. Contested dissolutions refer to situations where the parties are not in agreement with the terms revolving the dissolution. This can be with or without children. For these instances, parties must visit Family Court Services located on the third floor of the Lee County Justice Center for further assistance. So what is TurboCourt? TurboCourt is a third-party form preparation site. It does allow for the preparation and electronic filing of a variety of case types to include small claims, evictions, domestic violence, and divorce. Please note that there is a fee associated for utilizing their services. We'll go into that a little later. Accessing TurboCourt from our website. Once you have accessed our website at leeclerk.org, you can access the TurboCourt site by clicking on the DIY Forms button located on the right-hand side of the screen. This will give you direct access to the TurboCourt site. At this point, you will have access to the main page of TurboCourt. It will look like this, automatically bringing you to the Florida TurboCourt site. Listed, you will see a variety of case types previously mentioned that allow for the electronic preparation and filing using TurboCourt. For the purposes of today's webinar, we will select dissolution of marriage. You will then be directed to choose which of the two available dissolutions apply to your particular situation. For today's webinar, we will be choosing dissolution of marriage without children, as this is the only option that allows both for the preparation and electronic filing of your case. After choosing a case type, TurboCourt will ask you to choose a jurisdiction. The jurisdiction you choose is where you will be filing your case. Click on the drop-down menu next to jurisdiction and look for Lee. This means your case will be filed in Lee County. Once you choose Lee, the location will automatically populate as the Lee County Justice Center. This slide also gives you some information regarding the fees associated with the filing. Once you have selected the proper jurisdiction, you will click Next. TurboCourt will now direct you to create an account. The site does allow you to sign in utilizing either Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, or the LA Superior Court. However, you may also select sign up if you would prefer to log in with an email and password. Create a new account. If you do decide to sign up using an email and password, TurboCourt will prompt you to provide your first and last name, email, password, security question, and answer. Please utilize the information you would like reflected on the documents you will be preparing. Once these have been filled with the appropriate information, you may click Sign Up. Once you have created your account, TurboCourt will ask you some additional questions in order to better understand how to prepare your documents. Here you will verify that you have chosen the appropriate filing location. If you are filing in Lee County, it will read Lee County Justice Center. You will then select whether you are wanting to open a new case or if you're filing into an existing case. If you are filing into an existing case, you will need the Lee County case number associated with that case. For today's webinar, however, we will be filing a new case. So once selected, you will click Next. This screen is an introduction to the filing process, detailing some specifics regarding what you are filing. On the right-hand side of the screen, you will find a list of frequently asked questions. You will find that these boxes will be available throughout the process and may be referred to should you have any questions. TurboCourt also provides you with a progress tracker at the top of the screen that details which section you are on and what sections you have remaining. Upon reading through the available material on this page, you may click the Next button. Here you will find all of the information you will need to have readily available in order to prepare and file your paperwork. You will need to have the information for both you and your spouse. This includes and is not limited to addresses, social security numbers, and the information regarding each of your individual and collective finances. Once you have gathered all of the necessary information detailed on this screen, you may continue on. There are certain residency requirements to file in the state of Florida. You or your spouse or both must have lived in the state of Florida for at least 6 months before filing a petition for divorce to the court. Please keep in mind that you will need to file proper proof of residency as part of your case requirements. Once you have selected which option best applies to your particular situation, you may click Next. Here's where TurboCourt will advise you of the proof necessary for residency. You may file a copy of a driver's license, voter's registration, or a Florida ID card as proof of your residency. However, please note that the issuance or registration date listed on any of these documents must be at least 6 months prior to the filing of your petition. If you are unable to provide the requested documents, you may file an affidavit or a sworn statement, in other words, from someone who knows you. This affidavit would need to state that to their personal knowledge, you have resided in the state of Florida for at least 6 months prior to your filing. This affidavit must be signed and notarized. Upon selecting the option that best applies to you in this situation, you may click Next. Turbo Court will then pose a question regarding pregnancy, as the response to this question may affect your case and the way that it is filed. In the state of Florida, if either spouse is pregnant, becomes pregnant, or gives birth during the marriage, the child is considered a child of that marriage, regardless of whether or not the other spouse is the biological parent. If this question is answered incorrectly, it may cause your paperwork to be inaccurate, which may lead to the dismissal of your case. If this scenario applies to you, you at this point should return to the Turbo Court homepage and select dissolution of marriage with children. Here you will provide some basic information about yourself in order to complete your paperwork. Please keep in mind that you will also have to provide the same information for your spouse. So be sure to have that on hand at this time. After you have entered the information and confirmed its accuracy, you may click Next. This is another very important section of your paperwork. Many citizens are not aware that a divorce does not automatically mean you will return to your former legal name, You must request that the court legally restore your formal name as a part of the divorce proceeding. If this is not done and you attempt to restore your name later, you will have to file a name change case in order to get a judge's approval for restoration. We will be covering the name change process in a later webinar, but for the purpose of this presentation, you will want to make sure that you answer this question accurately so that your petition and final judgment are signed to reflect your request in its entirety. Once you have completed your personal information, you will continue on to finances. This screen details everything you should have readily available before beginning this section. This includes information about each of your individual assets, debts, and liabilities, as well as your marital assets, debts, and liabilities. Once you have all of this information, you may continue with your form preparation by selecting, I want to fill out the financial affidavit now, and clicking Next. As previously stated, we are discussing an uncontested divorce. If the other party is not willing or unable to sign all of the necessary forms, then this case would be considered a contested matter, meaning both parties are not in agreement. At this time, you may continue your paperwork preparation or stop. Either way, you must visit the Family Court Services office located on the 3rd floor of the Lee County Justice Center for further assistance on how to proceed. If the other party, however, is in agreement and willing to sign all of the necessary forms, then you may continue with your filing as an uncontested matter and click Next. After completing the supplemental sections, you will have completed your form preparation. Here you will be informed of your option to apply for a fee waiver by filing an indigency application, should you qualify. The filing fee for an uncontested dissolution of marriage in Lee County is $408. Please note that this fee waiver only applies to your court filing, not Turbo Court fees and/or any additional service fees, such as copy work or notary services. We've now come to the final step in the preparation of your documents. At this point, you will be directed to either pay the fees or upload a completed fee waiver form or indigency application. Your total for this case type will be $439.93, 408 of which is your court filing fee. On this screen, you will also find which documents must be printed and notarized. Once this is completed, you may move on to the final step. Here you will have the opportunity to scan and attach the necessary documents. This includes notarized documents as well as your proof of residency and any other additional materials you may want to attach for your case. After this has been completed, you will need to type your first and last name on the bottom of the screen in order to submit your filing. You will then receive email notifications regarding your filing, including whether or not your filing has been accepted and any corrections you may need to make. Your case will also be assigned to a case manager in Family Court Services. This case manager will be in contact with you should there be any concerns or other necessary items. This concludes today's presentation on how to e-file for a divorce.
Thank you, Yesenia. I appreciate your knowledge and expertise in this area. Angela asks, what is the next step after your documents are filed? After your documents are filed, the case is assigned to a Family Court Services for case management purposes. A case manager would reach out to you just to touch base on next steps, which could mean mediation and it could mean an actual court hearing, depending on the contents of your documents.
So I think I will go ahead then and close out our webinar. And I will thank you very, very much, Yesenia, Alicia, and Kevin for that great presentation. Yesenia, you did a fabulous job. And thank you all for joining us. I hope you found the information very helpful. Again, this webinar is part of our series titled Your Gateway to the Courts. If you'd like to be the first to know about future webinars, you can subscribe to our newsletter at www.leeclerk.org/subscribe, or by following us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Again, thank you for joining us and have a wonderful day.